Hey, Chris Liepe here with the style of Tilian Pearson from Dance Gavin Dance and his stage buddy Jon Mess. The interaction between these two is really cool. The blend of what they do, both in the studio recordings and live, is something else. And Tilian's voice, he's a high tenor, but he's doing a lot with mixed voice at the same time. And then we've got Jon, whose screams provide a really neat contrast to the bellish sound of Tilian. And they also give a lot away for those of us who are pursuing both screaming by playing with and resting in the break and aggressive mixed voice. We can blend these two approaches by studying these two guys. So I'm really excited to get into this one. Now, before I go on, thank you, Mojave, Colin Liepe, and Dusty Wakeman for the awesome new mics. This is a Mojave MA300, and this is a MA301 FET. So I'm excited for these as well, and looking forward to all the great sounds I'm going to be making with Mojave mics. Both screaming and mixed voice, and the blending of the two, are intense, difficult singing skills, vocal skills. And I want to help you get these down. I want to help you develop them in your own voice, which is why I do so many of these videos on YouTube. But if you want to go deeper so that you can lay stuff like mixed voice and aggressive singing over your already solid foundation, click the link below and join my free vocal course, and I'll help you step by step do just that. Okay, let's get into this. We're going to be going through We Own the Night live from the 2017 Warp Tour as our examples for a couple reasons. I think that the interaction that these guys do live, how they trade off, how they blend, is really neat. I think we can learn a lot from it. And I want to bypass the studio magic so that we can really hear and see what's going on. And I think that this song does a lot, both in the areas of mixed voice and screaming, and it exposes things in a way that will help us internalize things in our own voices even better. So here we go. Okay, let's just stop right now and call it like it is. Tilian's got a really high tenor naturally. If you listen to him talk, it's the same way. But if we internalize this line, let's get the notes far, far, and we're also going to take cues from how he approaches his notes, because it's not just his high voice. We don't want to just write it off and say, well, he's got a really high voice, I can't do that. We don't ever want to do that. What can we learn from him? And even me, being pitched naturally much lower, can learn a lot from his approach. So if we listen to that, he's not, forget my jealousy. He's not doing that. It's light. Now, it can be light because he has an easier time of it being light because he has a thinner, lighter voice to begin with. But we can still approach it and use mix in a healthy way to get similar vibes, even no matter what voice you have. So, far, not far, not far. None of that. We're not going to force it. Even if we have to go pure head voice, forget my jealousy. That's a great place to start. We're light. We're in a similar vibe. Now, what can I do by using mix, by using my head voice, by shaping my tone to get more in the vibe of what he's doing? Forget my jealousy. even that, I'm masking the fact that I'm going into my head voice, pure head voice, and it's a neat sound. It works. You wouldn't even necessarily know I'm in my head voice because of the way that's masked. A lot more. I'm going to unpack this a lot more, and we're going to teeter between being light, at least I'm going to teeter between being light and putting some of that high tenor in my own voice, using mixed voice and head voice and masking, clever deception. And then I'm also going to be more me with some of these lines, and it'll be a lot of fun. You should do the same thing. Here we go.
You swallowed the demons on your own. There's nothing left for me.
Okay, now there, he has a little bit of trouble getting up to the pitch. There's nothing there. You can see him reaching for it. He's still, he hasn't transferred into a mix there, and he's thinking up on the note instead of down on the note. What I just sang was masking over into a thin mix and then thinking down. That's why I was able to hit the pitch the first time. I actually went a little bit over the pitch, whereas he went a little bit under the pitch. Good stuff to point out, good stuff to watch.
I keep thinking back to when you said we owned the night.
Okay. We own the night. There's a lot of neat things that we can pick up from this. That is a mixed note in my range, but there's ways that I can approach that. He goes for it there. There is a little bit of grit. Now, I can be very brash with it, approaching this mix in a dying cat way, like you've heard me talk about before. We own the night! And at the same time, putting some compression in there, putting a little bit of grit. Now, I can go the other way too and sing that same note much more cleanly with a lighter mix, but it's still mix. We own the night. Oh. Going from a chest voice to a light mix using the yawn technique that I've talked about before, and then going into a similarly supported head voice note. You really can glue these things together if you know what to look for. Yeah! Yeah! Okay, there's two awesome things going on here. There's the high stuff that Tilian's doing that's just floating in the midst of what Jon's doing here. The screaming. I'm going to unpack the flowing thing, and then we're going to talk about Jon's screaming in just a second. So we've got this... You can hear Tilian in the background getting more of this. He's going high enough that he's starting to brighten up and brashen up and use more compression and push his limits there a little bit. But it's healthy. That's why he can continue to do it. And it's really fun to hear this breakup that happens with his voice as Jon starts with his screaming. Okay, if you listen carefully, you can hear him doing exactly what I've talked about before. You hear a lot of head voice cracking, and you hear a lot of higher chest voice engagement. So if we dial it back from the more refined nature we see in this video, we get something like this. Yeah! Right? Where we're cracking a lot. And pushing in that in between. when you combine that with some of the words he's doing, and I'm just going to pull a stanza from the song, and I'm going to scream it, and I'm going to get, as I do this, you're going to see me get closer and closer to what Jon is doing. But I'm going to start with that super goofy kind of sound, because this is what he's doing. He's just better at resting in this. There's a little bit of head voice. There's a little bit of chest voice. But he's relying on the feel of that vocal break to engage his false chords. That's the sound we're hearing. Okay, so this is a really great drill when you're trying to dial in a screaming section and get that feel over some faster lyrics. So here we go. I'm going to be super goofy with it, and then I'm going to get better and better with it as we go. This is the process of letting your voice do what it does, rather than going right to it and trying to go hard on your voice. You make a lot more mistakes that way. You tire out your voice that way. So if you ease into it, the easing will happen faster and faster as you get better and better with the feel. Separate is the way through. No one is second place, though. Just fake it through the day, and the night is your God. Now, I hear aspects of what I just did in what Jon does, in what almost every screamer does. He exposes it a little bit more than some other screamers, I think, which is partially what gets that yearning and intensity out of it. There's a vulnerability to it, which I really like. See you in the battle! So your boat is my paddle! Your life is my business! Your plaque on my wall! Okay. Now, I just did a video on if you want to enter screams, one of the best ways to do it is to go supply! Is to go from a head voice note and then drop into that break. So I'm going to employ that, which is what he's doing also. Separate is the way through! Okay, that line. Separate is the way through! The second is the playthrough! You can hear chest voice, you can hear head voice, but there's more screaming going on now. There's more of that break, that consistent break that's happening as we get into it. Now, your life is my business, your plaque on my wall. Your life is my business, your plaque on my wall! Your life is my business, your plaque on my wall! See how I've tightened it up? It's still there, but it's a lot tighter and a lot more passable as that aggressiveness that you hear on the recording. All right, let's keep going.
Let your head down, have one more round, drink till you believe it. Sloppy kisses, dirty wishes, baby, this is living. Roller coaster.
Maybe this is living. You get this sense of what a little bit more of what his speaking voice relates to, because he's in more of his speech resonance right there. But also, he's very like this. Not like this. He's not a very guttural speaker or singer. Maybe this is, maybe. His face is out of the way. Maybe. And he's employing what I've referred to in other videos, and I help you develop in my course, your stage whisper, which is a form of mild compression that helps you be raspy while still maintaining air. Let's keep going.
Up and down and round the motion.
I like that.
Teach your problems, better days are coming. Better pop the wall, come on, get down. Give it to the moment and live now. Get up off the wall, come on, get.
I like these sections. Get up off the wall! Get up off the wall! It's the idea of throwing your voice up to something and not necessarily caring that you may or may not hit the pitch. And I cover this in my free course, where we're just going to throw our voice up. Get up off the wall! Get up off the wall! Yeah, get up off the wall! Get up off the wall! We're going to do that first, and then we work into lines like this where we can have these short bursts of higher notes. Get up off the wall! And actually have the coordination. But it's the same approach that I've taken with the screaming, where we want to start less precise and then ease into it. Yep, same approach there. I like the rasp.
It's exactly where I want you.
Exactly where I want you. Here we go. Listen to the cracking that's happening with that screaming. It's not to minimize it. It's to show us how it's done, how to put in our own voice. We don't want to discourage that from happening. We want to let it happen and then trust that we will feel that in between. I like, you can hear him intentionally getting into that false chord engagement, that false chord squeeze. Seal my! There's that going on. It's not always seal my or seal my. Those are all great ways to approach those notes. But I like how he's able to go and choose or even just vary it up for the line he's using. But it's important to be able to approach these notes in a lot of different ways. I liked that part. Where did? There's this grit that he's putting in there with, and again, this is false chord engagement. He is higher, thinner, less false chord, letting that flow with less compression. Where did? And then approaching this, like I've talked about before, by, yes, even with him, calling on the feel of that vocal break to engage those false chords. Let's move on. There was a thinner. That high note had a little bit more grit to it. You can really hear the cracking there. Lots to unpack with this band and the vocal interplay that's happening between Tilian and Jon, particularly live. Hope you enjoyed this. This was a video done on request. I enjoyed jumping into this style and unpacking these guys. I hope that you're able to put some of this in your own voice. And again, if you'd like to take aggressive singing, mixed voice, overall foundational approach to feeling your voice when you sing, click that link below and join my free vocal course. We'll see you for more.